I speak to you tonight as a woman of a quiet house. I wear soft gloves. I move slowly. I know how a room can hold its breath. I know the small things that make a room feel alive. One of those things is a mirror. Yet, in many Victorian homes, mirrors were not always left to shine. They were hidden. They were veiled. That is a strange rule. It feels like a small secret. It feels, at first, like a taboo. I will tell you why they did this. It is a story of grief, fear, simple manners. Stay with me. A mirror shows us a true face. It gives back our eyes and our smile. It makes a room look larger. It brings light where there is darkness. But it can also feel like a doorway to another place. People in Victorian times feared that a mirror might hold a soul. They feared that it might keep the last image of a person who had died. They worried it might steal a small piece of the living. These fears were strong and deeply felt. They were whispered in hallways and taught in nurseries. The smooth, cold glass seemed to possess a power that made people careful, and sometimes very afraid. This custom of covering mirrors was not a passing fancy. The primary reason for veiling a mirror was an act of mourning. When a member of the household passed away, the family would immediately cover every mirror and sometimes every reflective surface in the house. This was done out of respect for the deceased. It was believed that if the spirit of the person who had died were to see its own reflection, it might become confused and not understand that it had passed from the world of the living. The covered mirror was a gentle guide, a way of telling the soul that it was time to move on, to find its final resting place and not to linger in the home. This practice also served the living. In a house of grief, vanity has no place. To catch a glimpse of one's own face, tear-streaked or in black mourning, could feel jarring. Covering the mirrors removed the temptation to look at oneself. It turned the focus away from the individual and toward the shared loss of the family. It made the house a quieter, more solemn space. The world inside the home was softened, its sharp edges blurred, allowing the family to grieve without constant reminders of their own presence. The act was both for the dead and for the living. A Victorian lady wrote in a letter, "We covered the glass when he left us. The room was softer then." Beyond the customs of mourning, a deep-seated superstition surrounded mirrors. Many people believed that a mirror was more than just glass and silvering. They saw it as a kind of spiritual portal. It was thought that a mirror could capture a fragment of a person's soul. This is why it was considered bad luck to break a mirror. The 7 years of misfortune were said to be the time it took for the soul to heal itself from the damage. This belief made people very careful around their looking glasses, such as the nursery, the sick room. This fear was particularly strong at night. When the house was dark and quiet, the imagination could run wild. A flash of moonlight on a mirror could look like a ghostly face. A shadow moving across the glass could seem like a spirit passing through the room. To prevent these frightening moments, many Victorians covered the mirrors in their bedrooms before they went to sleep. It was a simple precaution, a way to ensure a peaceful night free from imagined spectres. The Victorians placed a great emphasis on modesty and propriety. The home was a private sanctuary. Certain rooms were even more private. A mirror reflects everything without judgment. It can reveal a state of undress. It can reveal a private moment of prayer. It can reveal an unguarded expression. To control what was seen, and by whom, people sometimes controlled the mirror itself. Hands draping a cloth over a looking glass. Covering a mirror enforced strict codes of Victorian modesty. It drew a curtain over moments not meant for public or even personal viewing. In the bedroom, in the dressing room, a mirror was a necessary tool, but it could be a source of vanity, considered a sin. Covering the mirror, when not in use, discouraged that behaviour. It reminded people that character and soul mattered more than appearance. A large drawing room mirror reflects the entire room behind you. It can show who is entering or leaving. It can show who is speaking to whom. It can show what is happening in every corner. Let me paint you a picture. It is a cold evening in January, sometime around 1880. Snow falls in thick, silent flakes outside tall windows. Inside, gas lamps have been lit, casting a soft golden-orange glow against the encroaching dark. In the drawing room, a fire crackles in the hearth, its warmth a small comfort. The air is still, heavy with the scent of coal smoke, dried lavender. A grandmother in black bombazine sits in a wingback chair, her knitting in her lap. Her gaze fixed on the fire. Heavy, dark wood furnishings fill the room. A large mahogany sideboard stands against one wall. Above it, a grand gilt-framed mirror. But you cannot see the glass. It is hidden beneath a large sheet of plain white linen, pinned at the corners. The cloth hangs flat, a pale, ghostly rectangle. Another smaller mirror is covered with black crepe that absorbs the light and makes a small patch of night. The house is in mourning. A servant, young woman in a starched white cap and apron, enters. She walks on the balls of her feet. She tends the fire, using brass tongs to add a lump of coal. She does not look up at the covered mirrors. Her eyes are downcast. Everyone understands the quiet language of these veiled objects. The custom of covering mirrors, so central to the Victorian way of life and death, did not end overnight. It faded slowly, like a photograph left in the sun. As the 19th century gave way to the 20th, new ideas began to take hold. Science offered explanations for things once attributed to the supernatural. Doctors explained that a mirror was only glass, a thin layer of silver, with no power to trap a soul. The invention of the electric light bulb was a revolution. A mirror in a brightly lit room was less mysterious. It no longer seemed to hold strange secrets. Social customs relaxed. Victorian mourning periods began to seem excessive to a new generation. After the losses of the First World War, society's relationship with death changed. Mourning became more private, less performative. The looking glass was unveiled and allowed to shine once more. But the act of veiling a mirror contains a truth that has not faded. It is also about choice. Now for the little reveal I promised you at the beginning. The eerie reason for this custom is not just one thing. It is not just about ghosts. It is not just about manners. It is about control. In a world that often felt chaotic and frightening, the Victorians sought to create order in their own homes. Covering a mirror was a small, simple act that gave them a sense of power over the seen and the unseen. It was a way to manage grief, control vanity, calm fear, protect the privacy of the family. It was a ritual that made them feel safe. This idea of a gentle refusal is surprisingly modern. Today, we are surrounded by screens that show us endless reflections of the world and of ourselves. We are constantly asked to look, see, react. The Victorian custom of covering a mirror was, in its own way, a method for disconnecting. It was a way to create a quiet space, free from the demand of the image. It was a way to be present in a room without the distraction of one's own reflection. It was an invitation to look inward rather than outward. And so, the next time you find yourself in a quiet room, perhaps you will think of this. You will think of the soft linen, flickering candlelight, silent veiled glass. You will think of how a simple act can hold so much meaning. Fear, love, respect, a need for peace. The Victorians were not just hiding from spirits. They were creating a space for the human soul to be quiet. They were choosing a softer, slower, more deliberate way to live through life's most difficult moments. May your rooms always feel calm and safe. May your mirrors be patient and wait for you. And may you always have the choice to meet your own reflection only when you feel truly ready.